Right, well, what a weird year it's been since I last posted the video last year on Mental Health Day. Who could have predicted a pandemic coming and locking us all inside, eh? So, with that in said, it's all the more important I probably make this video again of the past year of what's happened and knowing that there are going to be mental health issues on the rise with everyone being locked up inside and not knowing what to do after all of COVID. And considering the support, which shocked me on last year's video, it's probably only alright again, like I say, to do another video, recap the past year for me and see if it again gets more and more people speaking to whoever about their mental health issues. So before I get into it all, I probably should best say I'll just start off with apologising straight away with a couple of things because I didn't really put anything in last year. I just did it all on the fly, and it'll be the same again. So first of all, I'm sorry if I say anything that offends anyone or makes anyone feel bad because I know last year, particularly, I know parents are gonna now blooming watch this and all this, but and other friends, when I say like I haven't told people all this, it is like barely like one or two people who I just naturally can tell them, and it's hard enough to tell them the issues that I've gone through, and there's still a lot that I haven't told people. It's just the way I am and being introverted. It's I can only tell when there's only certain people I can speak to, and it's just the way I can flow with them and get it out. It in no way means that I cannot speak to you whatsoever, or I don't want you to know all this, or it's just in no way feel guilty or anything like that. This is just what I've gone through, and it's just the way I deal with it is of telling certain people or I don't. It's just the way I am. And then just basically apologising for being a hypocrite because I mentioned a lot last year of saying just talk to someone and talk to anyone and be able to let off your mental health issues. But then again, this year, whilst I'd say I've got better at it in some respects to be able to tell certain people, there's quite a lot of people that I mainly kept a lot of things away from people until probably till lockdown till I told certain people, and then even then there's a lot of things I kept away. So I can apologise for that, and then the final apology is probably going to be for how long this video is going to be because I can imagine it's probably going to be longer than last year's one. So feel free to skim and scan if you want because it could be a long one, and I wouldn't watch probably 25 minutes of this if that's hopefully that's probably the shortest I can keep it to. So in order first to say with recapping the year, I'll start off on the good note. It probably was my most it will be my most successful year to date, and possibly could be for the future. In terms of I've somehow come out of university with a first class honours degree. Still don't know how. Amazed to this day, especially with the pandemic that went on with COVID, and all the issues I tried to get to finish my assignments. I managed to raise over £300 for mental health last year, which I'm gonna try and do again this year, but it could be more difficult with COVID restrictions, so I might have to do my own manual runs like somewhere else. Hopefully try and do a 10k one to try and improve it this year. I the big one mainly for me was seeing obviously Stoke getting a last second winner with never much energy and never seen something so crazy in my life, and that was amazing. I did a dissertation on mental health that raised awareness as well with on how social media affects mental health. I had someone come back into my life which I genuinely didn't think would come back into my life whatsoever. So I was so grateful for that because that helped. Um, there's quite a few. I've managed to in some respects with certain friends stop being as awkward and be able to communicate more, even like with how socially awkward I can still be at times. There's it might not. I got a job recently. Got a job in a and hopefully with starting my career. I don't know if I mentioned that. I may have just repeated that. But like in order to further my career, and of course my main thing recently is being at 21, coming out of university to have the money saved up to be able to rent my own place, which not many people would be able to do. So I'm in a good place in terms of success, which makes this all the more confusing as to when I say it was probably one of the most, it is the most difficult year of my life mentally. Oh, kind of hidden away. If people looked at me and when I post on my Facebook and go over all the successes I had, you would arguably think my life's going great. It's all on the high, everything's going upwards. I would be thinking positive. I could be thinking, oh, he must be well happy, well chuffed with himself. If only that was brilliantly the case, because I honestly feel guilty as hell when I say this, because without being cocky, let's say I've had all those successes, all those great things happening to me in the past year, and I still, majority of the time, can feel like crap or so down sometimes for no reason. It can just appear out of anywhere. And the way it works is it can be so weird, because I could genuinely laugh at something, I can be on Xbox with my mate, I can have fun, I can rage, I can laugh at a joke, I could just be talking my own, and out of nowhere, I could just suddenly feel crap and start attacking myself and start blaming myself for things that probably happened 5 years or 10 years ago that won't have actually affected anything, but I will still attack myself for no reason, just the way I work. And I've still don't to this day understand it, and I don't think I'll ever understand it, but I just attack myself, and I will constantly, over the past year, even when I've had successes, I'm not saying that I don't feel happy and great about them, because that's why I share it on Facebook, because I'm like, this is what I've achieved, I've managed to achieve this. But then day after, I could just be back to normal, like, oh, wait, here's the other things, though. Yeah, you've done all this, but still not socialised, still socially awkward, still overthink, still not found any enjoyment, still not doing anything that's fun. All these things, like random things, will just come into play and attack. So, with that being said, here we'll go. My first thing that's been the major struggle over the past year is loneliness. And when I say this, it might come as a shock, because I do, even though I have a small circle of friends, I do have the best of friends. Like, I couldn't have asked for greater friends. Same with family. You can't ask for a better family whatsoever. And when I say that, everyone will be thinking, well, if you say that, well, how can you be lonely? Because you've got those people to talk to. When I say loneliness, I am openly an introvert. Like, everyone who knows me can see that I'm an introvert. Some people are shocked because I can do a presentation, or I can go into an interview, or I can go to a work setting, I can talk, I can do things. But take me out of that setting and put me into a normal life situation, just into a social or anything like that, you're getting nothing out of me. I will not speak, I will stay there. Even when someone tries to speak to me, I will mutter or just hide away, and I can't do anything. So with that being said, it's great having all these people, but it's difficult to go out and talk to them. I had a situation where, like, 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to do exercise with my two friends over the phone, and as the time came, even though I was dressed up to do exercise, I deleted Messenger, I deleted Facebook, because I didn't want to hear a reply or have to reply, because I didn't want to do the exercise for some reason in my mind. I just didn't feel like I could hang out with him, and I panicked myself, because I was like, well, how can you operate like this in a normal life if you're just going to do that? So that's just one instance of trying to cut my friends away then. And no matter how many times people will try and drag me out, or if I go out like with family, I still wouldn't feel like I'm in a comfortable position, or I feel like I'm in a position where I'm talking and having fun. It's nothing like, which, awkward to say it, but like, wasn't like what the previous year was, where I had someone where I was constantly going out nearly every week, or talking nearly every day, and it was getting used to having someone that I could click with, which has always been the big thing for me, is just having that person to click with. And then that removed out my life, it just disappeared out of my life. So I went to nothingness, and then I could go like 3-4 weeks at a time, not talking to anyone, or talking to people from uni and work, but it wouldn't feel like a gap. And it's weird, because it is always been there realistically for me with loneliness, because even before, before I went to university, or before I went to McDonald's, when I was at school, I would talk to people and I'd have little people to talk to, but I'd either on my after school days or in the school holidays, I'd be stuck at home, play on the Xbox or PlayStation, and I'd just keep myself away, wouldn't talk to anyone. Occasionally I'd go down to the park with friends from primary school, but I'd never ventured out with my boat, and I was always kept away, and I always kept myself to myself and never spoke to anyone. But as you're younger, and you don't take these things into consideration as much, you don't think much of it. Even when I remember when in college in second year, I'd walk around college or into Newcastle on my own, because I didn't really have people to go hang with, really. I just by myself, because I didn't really go and speak to anyone, or I didn't go out my way, or I didn't click with anyone to speak to. And when I look back at that, I'm like, oh my God, I was just on my own as a child. I just stuck to myself. It's like there was no memories to be made. Like, if I go through, there's not many memories I can pick out of with people that I've been with in terms of enjoying it. And that followed the same pattern of like, after I left McDonald's, I cut everything off socially again, come to uni. And I'm not saying that the uni friends I haven't made, I get on with them great and brilliant, more so after this past year than anything. And they are giving me up like greatest mates for life. But at the same time, they know as well that I can be so awkward and socially awkward coming to them. I don't go out as much. And it just leaves this gap where I always keep myself to myself and always keep alone. And it's just, it builds and builds and builds when you can't, even though you have situations where you can stop the loneliness and bring yourself into other people's lives, having a mental block that stops you from doing that makes you just feel so alone and not be able to do things. And especially because of going also when I have a short, like small group of friendship, a lot of the time they're always doing stuff as well. Or at the time when obviously they had other commitments and doing things, they can't be with you as much. So it's like you can't go out and do things and recreate memories or make memories there. And it's like that for me built up and built up and built up. More as the winter went, I was like, I'm just stuck inside in my own flat, not having anyone to talk to consistently, not enjoying anything. Just this person that's just not even filled with anything, just sat on his flat, on his chair, on his Xbox consistently, sleep in, go to work, speak at work, go back. That's all I was doing over the winter. And the more and more as it got, and the more and more horrible it just got. I remember I got to one night out, which I was dragged out to, which, not saying in me, I was mean like, I was trying to get myself to move more open, more outgoing, and so I tried to go out more in the final year of university. But this one particular night, I think everything just built up for me, and it just was one of those where it wasn't for me going out, and everything just collided, and I just remember basically crying on a night out. Like, who cries as a lad with a group of lads on a night out? And I remember leaving early and just wandering about Sheffield for an hour because I was like, this is not normal. To even though, like, okay, I don't like going out as much, it's not normal for me to just cry and be like, can't be social or hate being in the way, but at the same time feeling so alone because I don't have anyone to talk to. But yeah, I had an open chance to be able to do stuff. Now, I bet that all sounded like a load of ramble, and it's just basically just repeating that, like saying he's lonely, but I was like, even though I had people that I could talk to, it doesn't seem like it's loneliness, but it really was, and it's common just throughout my life. And I don't help myself because of being socially anxious, because of being an introvert. And people have said, oh, well, that's just because you are you. I hate that. I do try and change it, but there's such a mental block there of trying to change it. It's like, it's so hard to do. And it's like, I could go into a workplace and talk to new people, and everyone would think, oh, she's not as introverted as you think. But it's like, sort of like, I have these different personas. Put me in an environment, I'll act different. Take me to a Stoke game, into football, I will shout out loud, I will swear, as much as people know me, I will be outgoing, out loud, chatting to people. Put me into a situation where it's just a normal day in the social life and wanting to talk to people or going to message people to ask if you want to do anything. I can't do it. I freeze completely. And it just makes it that because I can't go out, because I can't put myself out there or do anything like that, because a lot of the time that other people are busy, or because the people that I want to like be able to talk to every day can't do anything, it traps you, and it traps you in the head, and it makes you think, is this just going to be my life where I'm just all alone? It's like, and then it's horrible to think because you can say that and people can message you like, you're not alone, I can hang out with you, we can do this, this and this. Sometimes it can be you only want to hang out with a certain person or like do a certain thing, or you could get to that day and then your brain just goes, no, I don't want to hang out. That's what it is in my instance anyway, and it's just so trapped because it's like an consistent cycle of, I want to get myself out of this loop. I don't want to feel alone. I want to be able to meet up with people. I want to be able to do things that I can remember. I want to know that I can enjoy myself and not be in this situation, which I have been the past near 21 years of my baseball, consider it, take out the months. So about near 15 years of my life where it's just, I haven't done much. The most of the memories I have is me or myself. I don't have many memories where I've gone out and done things with other people. There's people who can say like in college and all this, like they met up, they had all these like parties and stuff like that, or they went out and did this, or they went to a holiday. I have a couple that I have a handful that can bring out most of them that I just did on my own. So that was all the winter. And then when COVID hit, obviously the loneliness was going to settle in more because it took out the equation of even speaking to anyone at uni. And obviously when I come home, it was great because you see the family, you're all together and you know everyone's safe. But at the same time, I felt trapped because I couldn't really talk to anyone. I didn't have anywhere to go. I wasn't with my mates at Sheffield, where every week we'd either go to like the bar to be able to play pool. I didn't have any of the release that I was building up. So it was like, oh great, trapped in loneliness. My only outgoing, which is going to be cringe to say, is luckily that I had someone to talk to every day. Yes, I had and I'm not downplaying the other friends that I played like on game nights with, because that was also helpful as well. But it was lucky that I did have one person who did come out of my life, because having a phone call nearly every day with them meant that I had something to release, something to be able to talk about, and it worked. Like if I was down, they motivate me, or if they were down, motivate them. And as bad as that sounds, it worked. It was lucky that it's like someone was like you'd help the other person because that would motivate them, and it's just the way I've worked towards life that I always get like a boost. I mean, I suppose everyone does when you help the other person, and it's lucky that at times I was able to help them and they helped me. And it's like I remember like I come to my dissertation, for me, even though for many it was like it's still a good mark, I was disappointed with my dissertation mark, and it was like I was ready to give in, throw the towel already for that, and not even get towards the first. And lucky that person like went, no, sod that, you're going for the first. Do you want to, like, if you want it, you'll go for it. And it's situations like that that boost me up. But even still, I still had all those in the back of my mind. Like I still feel alone, because at that point you're trapped and you genuinely can't do anything. You can't go out. You can't go to the pub. You can't go have fun. So it builds up, this loneliness. And even though when I've been working over the summer, and it sounds contradictory because I've moved into my own place and I'm alone, no, like I do feel alone a lot of the time, because even when restrictions have been lifted, I haven't done much. And this summer was just been working and working. And I don't want that to just, and it's just like the feeling of like, is this just going to be a life of just like, oh, you work every day, 9 till 5, you come home, sometimes you play your Xbox with your mates, sometimes you don't, but you're just going to be trapped in and thinking, I'm so alone, I'm so alone, I'm so alone. That's like my version of loneliness. So then moving on from that loneliness, I suppose the next thing was just constantly feeling down and attacking yourself, even when good things are happening. Like I said before, I've had the successes I've had this year, and don't get me wrong, every time I had them, I've enjoyed them, and I have been bragging about them at times, and I'd like openly going that this is great, having them feeling for it, but it lasts for about a day before I will overthink something and just attack myself for it, and I will just go completely negative. My mood will just drop. And it'll be to IA outsiders, it'll be like, oh, he's fine, he's enjoying life. But to me, I'm just on the inside, I'm just like, well, you've got all this success, and even though you're sharing it with people, it's like, well, who have you got it next to? Who you going out celebrating with? Who's gonna be asked about this? Who's actually caring about stuff like that when it shouldn't really be much of a care? Or it's like going into, I don't know, like the best scenario could be that, say the other week when I posted on Facebook I got a job. I was so happy that I got it. I was so grateful, and everyone could tell me they didn't move. But at the same time, after that one day, I sat back in my flat, and then at night, for some reason, I was just like, okay, but here you are, you've got this job, you're going great, but you're still alone. Yeah, you still aren't going out. You're still nearly 22 in your flat playing video games. What 22-year-old is still in their flat at 22, like playing video games? Granted, you're in the middle of a pandemic, you can't do much, but it's still the view of nearly 22, you're playing video games, and also just on YouTube consistently. You aren't going out, you aren't making the effort to go out with anyone, and it's sort of attacking things for like that. And then obviously, then you're thinking to yourself, well, why is my brain attacking itself if it's socially anxious and doesn't want to do these things? So then you're swayed of battling with yourself, and then you panic yourself because you don't know what's going on. So it's building up, building up, building up. So you don't know what to do then. This is why mental health is so complicated. As you can tell, I'm literally rambling out my mouth. Don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just rambling out my mouth of everything that I feel in my head, but it does probably make sense to a lot of people. But this is probably, for a lot of people who are struggling with mental health, it doesn't make sense to them, because you don't know why you're attacking yourself. And when you feel negative, you do attack yourself, you do blame yourself for so many things. I've been attacking myself because even though I'm socially anxious, I've been like, well, I've chucked away people. I've not been checking up on people's mental health. I haven't been asking if they're okay. Or if I have I been asking too much? Have I been pushing them on too much? Or, well, you haven't gone out your way to make phone them. You haven't gone out your way to ask, do they want to do anything? You've been shutting people off. You do all these things where it's just attack after attack after attack, and then you go to that period of like, well, they don't deserve me. I push them away because I don't deserve them. Like, why should I keep them in my life if all I'm going to cause them is pain and misery? Because that's what it looks like in my head. So I just cut myself off, and that's my best solution of doing things. And that's probably the best way of thinking it with mental health is it's a lot of the brain attacks yourself. Even if things are going good, it starts attacking itself, and it makes you think the worst of everything. And no matter if anyone tells you you're doing good, you're so great, you're a nice guy, you're credit to whoever, you've done brilliant, you're so successful, you've got everything going for you. Ultimately, whilst that's great and you appreciate it, as bad as it sounds, all that matters to you is what your brain's saying to you. And on the outside, you're like, oh, thank you, appreciating it. But on the inside, you're still like, yeah, but I don't feel like that. You're just lying to me. That's not right. No, this isn't me. And it's a bit like, I don't know, similar to like imposter syndrome, which Tyler Fury has. It's like, oh, I've got all these successes, but I didn't deserve them. Stop giving me the accolades because I don't deserve this statement. This isn't me. This isn't what's going on. No, stop happening. I'm feeling bad, so stop trying to make me feel good because, I don't deserve that. And that's the case for, I think, everyone with mental health is, even though everyone, and the key message of mental health is get them to speak or appreciate them and check if they're okay, the problem that is sometimes is you can consistently ask if they're okay, you can consistently try to keep up with them, but it's what's on the inside of the other person that's attacking themselves can lead to the problem, and you don't know how to solve it. And that's what scares me the most with mental health is you don't know how to solve it yourself, but ultimately it is yourself and your brain that you've got to sort out. Because I know full well that I've been in a position recently where I've been wanting to help someone out with mental health, and I so desperately like trying my best whatever I can, but I just can't because, and I know my position already, like this person's gone through worse, but I know in my position already, it's just like, well, I can't help you because I know the more I'm trying to help you, the more I'm trying to ask if you're okay, and it's happened to everything, the more to the other person it can seem like it's getting on your nerves, or it's like it's not helping because it's pushing them away. And I know that because it's happened to me. It's like you could say all these mental health issues, and it's like you can get checked up on and have all this help. It's like I went to try and get a counsellor to help me. It didn't really help me as much because it was like saying everything, but it was like saying it to a brick wall because all that was mattering was you on the inside, and it was getting frustrating. And it's like the more and more they were trying to ask me questions to push it out, it didn't feel like it was helping me because it's like you get to a point where it's like this isn't helping, you're just pushing this out of me, this doesn't work. And it's mental health is just so messed up, as you can tell. It's just so messed up. The biggest issue with it is you want to try and sort it out, and there is a part of you subconsciously that is there trying to sort it out, trying to get you to open up, trying to be able to speak about the issue. But the main part that operates you is the main part of your brain. And when that is attacking you, it's hard for your subconscious to reach out to others or listen to others. You just consistently are attacking yourself. And so when people are trying to reach out to me and try and help me, and my brain just goes, no, just ignore it. Just no, don't think that. Don't let them say what they say. You just listen to yourself. And luckily, sometimes my subconscious takes over and does tell people, and there has been certain people recently I have told about the loneliness, I have told about feeling low all the time. But there's a lot of the time where it won't, and it blocks you from saying stuff. And I'm guessing for people it's a lot worse because they can't tell themselves, because they are just attacking themselves and they do blame themselves. So in that respect, you have to be careful sometimes how you treat people, because it's okay going to them all the time saying, are you okay, and checking up on them, and you want to make sure they're safe. But sometimes it's, if you push them, it pushes them away rather than trying to actually push the answer out of them. Sometimes I think, especially in my instance, it takes the right person to be able to open up to, and the right circumstances. Don't get me wrong, a little bit of pushing and every and constant and checking on your friends and saying, are you okay, or checking up that they are following a nice routine and they aren't, looking at anything different, or something's looking off. Check up on them, but don't go try and push it out of them if you know something's wrong, because it just pushes people away and it just makes your brain attack you more and more and more, and it just means people don't listen. It is a big issue in mental health that it's hard for people to deal with, because a lot of people on the outside who everyone suffers from mental health issues, but they may not know what's going on. They want to help out, but sometimes it's like, if it goes over the top, you don't know how to deal with that. So that's issue number 2. We basically rambled on that my mental health is all over the place, and I do feel down a lot. I couldn't tell you the reasons why. I honestly, I'd love to, because I'd be able to solve it out myself. I recently, and when I say this as a disclaimer, like, Samaritans, you can talk to them, and this doesn't mean that I was like considering suicidal thoughts. I know people relate Samaritans a lot to that, but I emailed them just to get a load of emotions off my chest, and I was just like, I'm feeling all bad, but I can't pinpoint what exactly it is that's going wrong. I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling all these issues, but I don't know what's going wrong, because I've got all this success, but I still feel bad, and I still feel I'm attacking myself, and I still feel down. And it's Samaritans listened and just replied, and they tried to like give questions and ask like, well, why did you feel down? Why? And there were certain things that come up and like made sense in a way of like why it was, and the loneliness come out more and more, and the social anxiety like reasons come out of it. But even still, there's still now, when I'm making this video, I do feel down. I couldn't tell you why. Honestly, I could laugh at someone and genuinely have a laughter and a joke, but I feel down and I don't know why. It's like, why I have tried to go for the doctor. I'm still trying. I put it out there now, but at the same time, I also am a bit put off with going to doctors, because it's like, well, if I go, what am I going to tell them? I've got something wrong with me, but I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like, well, what's your diagnosis to give for that? Because you're feeling down, but what's causing you to feel down? Well, I don't know. So that's a key problem with mental health that I feel like everyone needs to start understanding a bit more, and I feel is less talked about, because a lot of people go, well, if it's mental health, it's something got to be linked to something that's going on, or they've got to be having a really bad time of their life. Well, for some people, it might be that it just is the case that unfortunately their brain can just go and attack them for no reason, and just make them feel the way they are. Like, I hate it. If I'm being honest, and truly honest now, in my last few minutes, because I'm trying to keep this below 35, but I know it's half an hour nearly. If I'm being honest, as bad as I feel with saying this, I have said, and I still think now, I do hate my life and the way it's gone in some respects. I love I'm so grateful for what is in it, and the friends I've got and the family I've got, but the way I am, I don't like that I'm introverted, or I can't be able to speak out to someone to just go for a drink or something like that, like a normal person. Now, I'm not saying it isn't normal to be introverted, far from it. I'm just saying that a lot of people can come up to me and say, oh, well, if you feel lonely, why don't you enter yourself into this group, or go join this football, or go do this? Well, the thing is, I can't do that, because there's like a blockage that stops me out from doing that, and I don't know what that blockage is, but it's as easy to say, oh, well, you just got to take a step and be mature and jump out about it, but it's not as easy to do it. It's easy to say it, not easy to do it. And then for my personal view as an introvert, I don't like not being able to do that. I don't like being awkward in conversations. I don't like that I've come through my years of uni, and I've come through the past few years of my life where I haven't gone out and made new friends. I haven't really pushed myself out there. I haven't made many memories with people. I haven't done certain things that I've wanted to do, and it really puts you back. And it's like another reason why I say I hate my life is because the friends that I do make are always great people, always the best, because I just have this habit of I pick the right people. If I know I haven't, then eventually I let them show up my life. But whenever I can, I try to give them my life because I always pick the right people. Want to pick the people I can click with. The only problem with that is because I'm so socially anxious and introvert, I'm always the one that's left behind. People move on and people make new friends. And whilst that's just life, in my respect, because I don't move on and make new friends myself, I just feel so trapped. And I hate it when they move on because it's like, well, you're my person I love to talk to, but you've gone. And it's happened with a lot of my friends over the recent years. And then I also see, like, with those people or other people, it's like, again, without being cocky, I've had less success than probably I have in last year, but so much more happier. They got a much better life. I've had all these memories, all these trips, all these things to do with their friends, and so much more that they can say with their life that they've actually made it enjoyable and worth it. Whereas me, over the past 22 years, okay, I'm not disputing the fact I've done things. I went away and travelled on my own. I went away to Barcelona with a friend. I've gone away to France with friends. I had a whole year where I went to Manchester, made so many memories. I went to Liverpool, made memories. I made memories there. But at the same time, it's like they're not as much as what other people have, and I haven't done much with my life. It's like I hate the way it's gone because it's so much easier to say I can change it, but because the way I am and the mental block I am, no matter how much I want to change it, no matter how much I want to try and build on from it, I can't. And it's like everything just moves on, and I'm the one that's left behind. Everyone's having this better life, yet I'm here, and yet I'm here with a success. And there are also people who've got it so much worse than me, and I'm acting like this. That basically, if you skipped out the beginning, you skip out the end, you'd think my life was totally shit. You put the beginning in it, I could tell you that it's the successes I've had, and you go, hang on, how can this guy be acting shit? I've had all this shit that happened, but yet he's acting like all this upset, down, depressed, but yet he's having all the success. What's the point? And again, won't lie, it's like, I can tell you, don't know why. I don't deserve to be acting like this. There are people that have got it worse. They need to be focused on, and I hope they are focused on, and they are helped out. But this is the problem with mental health. You could be on cloud nine, you could be great, you could be having so much success in life, but behind the scenes, it can be so damaging because you don't know what's going on in the inside of the other person, even if you ask how they are. And that's probably the key theme of this year, of what I'm worrying about, especially with COVID, because everyone's been trapped in. A lot of people experience this for the first time of what I've been used to my entire life, which is overthinking and worrying about things. And the second you start overthinking things, you start attacking yourself. And the more and more people are locked up, and the more people who weren't introverts and like to be out, the more it's going to affect them, the more it's going to lead to more and more issues. So this video now is more important than ever to just open up and say, right, this is what it's like, how I've been like when I've overthought things, and this is what it's like from an introvert point of view, and also a person who has these successes, is there is so many people that are going to feel so bad about their life and so down, and you might not see it. On the outside it might look great, but on the inside it could be all going completely wrong. And I don't want to be in a situation that I know many have been, where it's that friend or family member or someone close to you has basically committed suicide. I don't want mental health to lead to an issue where that has to be the case. I probably shouldn't be saying but I won't obviously mention a person, but there was someone recently who I know has been suffering mentally, and I genuinely thought the day they went missing, I have to be honest, I genuinely thought they had gone. I thought they'd done something stupid the more the day went on. And the more you think that, the more you worry. I never want to have to go through that emotion ever again, and I don't want anyone in their lives to have to go through that emotion, and I can't even think what's going through the mind of some people who actually do try and go through with it or actually consider it, because you want to help them, but you don't know what's going through their mind. So it is a difficult topic, and I understand this video was a load of ramble, and I haven't fully explained, because it's hard to put into words some of the emotions that have actually gone through me, and it's hard to put into words just how bad it can be at times. It's honestly, I know this is the point where I'm like not speaking, and because this year's been more awkward, because I suppose last year I had a lot more to point places down on where it's going wrong, and this year I've only had certain things that could go wrong. I at first thought my loneliness was coming behind just because I had the issue of like I've gone from speaking to someone every day to going to nothing, but it wasn't just that. It's because I look back through my life, it's always been my case, and then I obviously go through my social anxiety, and I'm realizing that puts so much of a block on my life because I can't go out and then stop myself from being lonely because of the issues I have then. And then it's like, well, you start feeling like crap, but there's nothing to put your finger onto other than just certain things here and there. So this year, yes, it has been a longer video because I have been rambling, because it's been harder to describe just some of the feelings that I've gone through in a year. And like I say, I'm putting no mean feet on it. It has been the toughest year of my life. It's been so difficult. It's like you want to tell someone about it, but at the same time you don't, because these are things you want to keep to yourself. Because the more and more people that you feel like know about it, the more and more people could be on your back. The more and more people could be coming to ask you how it is, how it's all going, and then that scares you away because you're thinking, wow, I don't want this. Whoa, it's too much, this. So it's such a complicated issue. So all that I can really end with in these final 4 minutes, because I'll make this 40 minutes, is being World Mental Health Day. The main thing that everyone needs to know is just to look out for everyone, especially during this time of COVID. Because even though you might think a phone call and stuff like that can help, a lot of the time for certain people it's physical contact or being face to face with someone that's better than having it over a phone. So having someone to talk to or you meet up with every so often is great. That's what everyone should be looking out for. Even if, so sometimes, okay, if you haven't spoken to someone in ages, speak to them. You're falling out with someone, try and make up with it, or don't, you just get on with it. But always try and ensure you check up to them. Try and look out for the signs. Try and look if anything's changed about them, if anything looks different, if anything looks like it's seeming a bit wrong, ask them about it. But don't consistently go check up and go, are you okay, are you okay, are you okay, because it can sometimes push them away. But just ensure that you are checking up on them. That's the key thing always with mental health, is just checking up on people, but making sure you don't go to the extent that it could push them away. And just take your time with them, because for some people I can just take one certain moment or one certain thing that just clicks them and makes them open up, and the second they open up, that's it. They will start revealing stuff. You will be able to help them out. Some people it might be that you need the doctor to go out. Some people it might be a counsellor. Some people it might just be a friend that you can talk onto the phone. That's the key thing I can say with mental health. Other than that, if you're looking for me to give you advice of what to say, of how to help people, I don't think anyone really can, as bad as that sounds. And I know it sounds more and more depressing. The best thing we can all do for everyone is just look out for each other, because that's the only thing we can do. Everyone's brain works different. Everyone reacts differently to different things. I'm an introvert. An extrovert could deal with this in a completely different way. Someone who's more confident and outgoing could again deal with it in a completely different way. You don't know how they react. The only things we can do is just be there for people and ensure that you're always at least in contact with them so often. That is the key message with mental health. And the other key message is no issue is too small or too big, and everyone cares. Just because you think that, I don't want to be sharing my problems, or I don't feel like this problem's big enough, or I don't want someone else suffering this problem, you shouldn't think like that. You should be telling someone if you can, if possible. Always just make sure that you like keeping in contact and telling someone, even if you feel like it's a small, if telling someone and getting it off your chest releases it. even just saying one thing can release it and release stuff. And if you can't talk to someone like Samaritans and put it as an email, because they ain't gonna they don't know you, you don't know them. But the difference is they're always gonna keep your conversations short. It's like writing a diary, but you're just getting questions asked back to you. That could be one method for a lot of people to do, because at least then you're getting it off your chest and you're not holding it in or bottled up or kept away. And at least then you can try and get an understanding rather than attacking yourself on the inside with your brain and chatting to yourself in your head. Of course, all your head's going to say to you is try and say the worst and won't try and flick the switch for you. You'd think with it being yourself, it would try and help yourself, like survival instinct. It would try to keep you going and boost you, but unfortunately, the brain can work in a way of it will attack you, it won't help you out. So the best thing there is just talk to someone. If you can't talk to someone, talk to Samaritans. If you can't even do that, just write things down in the diary. But no matter what you issue, don't try and keep it to yourself as hard as it is, because I've done it and I'm a hypocrite for saying that, because I still do it now. But a lot of buts here, isn't there, Christ? I suppose that's that. The main thing is then just try and keep positive, you know? If there's one final thought that you can say, it's if you're ever in a situation where your head's attacking you that much, you feel down and you don't think there's any point in all this, because I would be lying if I say I haven't been in this situation. All you got to look at it, as ridiculous as it sounds, it might sound as easy as anything, it might sound pointless, but okay, yeah, you could end your life and end it now, and it might seem easy and getting along with it. But then what's the point in that? Because there is always going to be a day where it's going to switch. Because you've got to think, not everyone's life is always born negatively. You're always going to have had a point where it switched. For a lot of people, it's when you start developing emotions. But if you had that period already of time where you were happy, you didn't understand what was going on, then at least it's worth living to try and get that moment and work for that moment, that you know your moment's coming where you're going to have a fun time, you're going to have a happy life. There is going to be that time of like fun time and memories. At least considering it and thinking that and knowing that is thinking, right, that might be far away. It could be 40 years. It could be 50 years. It could be right at the end of my life. But at least I know that moment's coming and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to have those memories. And it's better to have the opportunity of looking like that. And even if it's dealing with a lot of shit that you're going through now and a lot of bad feelings and you're not understanding what to do, at least it's better to consider looking for your future and going, right, you know what, I've got the friends that I know I need. I will create them in the future. I will get on with it. I will make sure that I will get through this. I'm going to be having the bad times. I know I'm going to be suffering like shit. I know I don't know what I can do with it sometimes. But at the same time, I know eventually this is going to get better. I've got my friends that carry me through and I will make my memories. That's better to do that and think that rather than just go, no, I don't want to think like this now. I'm just going to end my life. And I get there's people who think a lot worse than me and have had so much more struggles. But at the same time, this even repeats for you. This might sound like pointless. This might sound like complete BS. But isn't it better? It's not, isn't it? It is much worth living and carrying on rather than saying, I'm ending it here because I don't like feeling like this. No. Look at it the reverse way. Okay, I don't like feeling like this and I could feel like this for the rest of my life. But I know there's a point in the future, don't know when, it could be a while yet, but there is a point in the future where my time is coming, I'm going to enjoy it. And when it comes, I'll be laughing and looking back on this and going, thank God I did stay for it, because it's so great when it happens. I'm hoping eventually that does come soon. If it doesn't, and it comes years later, then so be it. But it's better looking forward for that rather than me going, because when I considered it, it's better than just going, you know what, I'll end it now because it's just going to be shit. I'm succeeding, but it just feels like shit even now. No, because what's the point? What benefits does that to you? You're not helping anyone else. You're not helping yourself because you know there's a moment coming for you that life soon, and it's not going to be helping others because you also have to consider sometimes how they're feeling as well. It's selfish from an outsider point of view, but not in terms like, don't remember in terms of like saying with suicide. I'm saying it's selfish and being on an outsider point of view, when you know someone who wants to kill himself and you want to be selfish. You're like, well, think of the effects what it's also going to have on me. I like there's some people who you just can't like live without. If they go, then what's the point in my life? That's why I don't want to be in a position where it's like anyone ever says they'll commit suicide, because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. There is no point in it. I know it's easy to say that, but it's better to look on life and know that there's a positive time coming, and your time's coming where you have consistent happiness, rather than just ending it now because you haven't. And it's something I'm realizing, and I'm trying to keep consistently, because I know when I say it to people, I don't think like that, but I am trying to set it as my mentality as well. So with that, if you've stayed to the end, Jesus blooming Christ, I don't know why you've listened to me ramble, but that's my experience with mental health, particularly over the past year. And I hope it helps anyone else just to open up and have a conversation with someone and open up about their past year or what they've gone through mentally, even if it's someone who's been having success or even if it isn't someone who's been having success. Hopefully it gets them speaking and hopefully it opens them. That's my whole main thing why I did this, is because I felt like if me as an introvert can get up and do this, and how awkward it's been this year to make this one, if I can come out and say it, I'm hoping that a lot more can consider to open themselves up to speak about the issues, even if it's as rambling, complete and utter nonsense as I've just done for the past 46 minutes. It's still getting you to open up, and that's what it's all about on World Mental Health Day. So, yeah, guess I'll end it on that. Nothing much more to say.